There's a new documentary on vaping that covers big tobacco's rise in the marketplace. A popular weekly documentary program in Canada called The Fifth Estate decided to take a look at the vaping industry. You can find the documentary on YouTube if you want to watch it. I watched it and wanted to give you a quick summary. So they have several hosts, but this one was hosted by Mark Kelly. He starts out the documentary with an important question. Can the people who hooked us be trusted to help us? And this is in reference to tobacco companies now producing electronic cigarettes. So they begin the show with an interview with a cardiac surgeon, Dr. Gopal Bhatnagar, who treats patients who have damaged their hearts due to smoking. Eventually, he decided that he had seen enough of the damage caused by cigarettes, so he started a vape shop in Canada called 180 Degrees Smoke. To start out the show with a cardiac surgeon promoting vaping as a tool for harm reduction is a really strong intro for the rest of this documentary. Mark Kelly then went to a local vape convention where he learned a little bit about vape culture and talked to some of the attendees and shop owners there. He also tried vaping for the first time, and they didn't say anything bad about vapors at all in this part, which is interesting because in many videos you see online that cover vape conventions, they often show it in a bad light. In this segment, they also talked about how these vendors were selling products that contain nicotine, which is interesting because nicotine-containing e-juice is technically illegal in Canada, but these people have made the choice that it's worth this risk to save lives. Kelly says that small players get away with it in Canada, but big tobacco can't because public health authorities won't allow it. It's kind of the same thing we're seeing here in the US. Many small shops sell products that aren't legal according to the FDA regulations, but nobody is getting in trouble. But Philip Morris would never be able to get away with releasing their IQOS here. They're just too big of a target. The FDA would jump right on that. Anyway, I did see some comments on this video saying that Canada actually doesn't have the authority to make nicotine-containing e-juice illegal, but I don't know vaping regulations, how they work in Canada, so I'm just going by what the documentary says. They also pointed out that there is no combustion, no tobacco, and no killer carcinogens in electronic cigarettes, just, in their words, pillows of vapor. They also talked with a few consumers. For example, one person they interviewed was a woman who had been smoking since she was a teenager. Smoking killed her husband. He died from cancer. After this, she took a hard look at her life. She looked at her kids and realized what it would mean if she kept smoking. Then she discovered vaping and decided it was time to quit. And then they talked with a couple of big tobacco companies. Kelly noted that big tobacco is no longer trying to crush the vaping industry. Now they're trying to cash in. His first visit was with David O'Reilly, Group Scientific and R&D Director at British American Tobacco. Right on the floor of their R&D department, you'll see a large graphic on the floor showing the dangers of smoking. And this is really interesting to see in a tobacco company, but as O'Reilly says, it's a reality. They see it as a reminder of what cigarettes are and how vaping is the new generation of products that can save lives. British American Tobacco still sells tobacco cigarettes all over the world, and Kelly asks O'Reilly about this, to which he responds that cigarettes are a legal product, consumers still want it, and they've been around for hundreds of years. I think one point he's trying to make here is that it's a business, and you don't just close up shop one day. It's not realistic to just stop selling cigarettes, but they do care about harm reduction. O'Reilly also goes on to state that the health risks are well known, and consumers know the health risks. BAT knows that they are a part of the problem, but they also want to be a part of the solution. O'Reilly says he can't change the past, but he wants people to judge them on their actions of today. So can we really believe that they want to save lives? BAT is now investing $800 million in what they call tobacco harm reduction. Personally, I still have my doubts about tobacco companies caring about saving lives. While they might care to some degree, I also think that they care a lot about money, and vaping is the direction that nicotine delivery is heading. Then Kelly visited Imperial Tobacco, where he spoke with Eric Gannon, the Director of Corporate and Regulatory Affairs, who say they want to give consumers a healthier product. When Kelly asked Gannon why they are taking a stance of pro-health while still selling cigarettes, Gannon uses Coca-Cola as an example. It's the same reason why Coke sells Diet Coke or water, and why McDonald's sells a salad. With this type of thinking, these businesses wouldn't be able to sell healthier products. So why shouldn't tobacco companies also be allowed to sell a less harmful product? I think this is actually a pretty reasonable excuse. We know that Coca-Cola isn't healthy. Coca-Cola knows that their soda isn't healthy, but should we expect them to shut down and start selling only healthy products? Obviously, soda isn't as dangerous as cigarettes, but it's a good analogy. Tobacco companies are probably never going to die, so we might as well let them sell a safer product. Who knows, maybe over decades of time, tobacco cigarettes will no longer exist, and vaping will completely take over the market. Big tobacco might still be in business, but 50 years from now, maybe they won't be selling cigarettes. Then they also talked to some public health organizations. So they talked to Dr. Peter Donnelly, the president and CEO of Public Health Ontario, who argues against vaping. He says that many people actually still smoke and are addicted to cigarettes while vaping, which is one reason why they can't endorse it. He says that they also don't know how safe or dangerous e-cigarettes are. Donnelly says that nicotine is one of the most addictive substances known to man, and they can't let a whole generation get addicted again to find out later that e-cigarettes are bad. The documentary follows this up with a stance that public health authorities have taken in England, where it's being used as a tool for harm reduction to save lives. He talks about how Public Health England is reporting that vaping is 95% safer and that health experts want it prescribed by the healthcare system. They also interviewed Professor of Tobacco Addiction at King's College of London, Anne McNeil, who made an interesting comment. She said that electronic cigarettes didn't come from big tobacco, it came from smokers themselves, and this is a great distinction to make. Big tobacco sells it now, but it wasn't created by them to keep people addicted. It was created and adopted by smokers to get away from the health risks of smoking. So yeah, the documentary focused a lot on big tobacco and their position within the market, but it also covered the small vape industry, and it talked a lot about the benefits of vaping over smoking. I would say that this was a very positive documentary in support of electronic cigarettes. So you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. I'll include a link in the show notes, or you can just search for Welcome Back Big Tobacco, The Fifth Estate on YouTube. It's only 40 minutes long, but if you're like me, you can watch it at 1.5 speed and get it done much faster.